Here I go. You went through a lot as a child. Your biological mom left you.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Blackbird 91. We are talking to you guys about Married at First Sight, and we're dealing specifically with Michael and Jasmina. And we'll talk a little bit about safe spaces and how Jasmina's abandonment seems to have played a role and effect in her developing those close relationships with partners. I think we got a little bit more information today that really helped us understand her mindset and why relationships seem to be at a distance rather than being close. The fear of abandonment is real, and a lot of us have it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about it today on this episode and talk about her connection as well with Michael. Let's dive a little bit deeper. But before we do, make sure you do me a massive, massive favor. Like it, share, subscribe, click on the bell button for notification of the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. Stay hydrated because the streets out there, they are hot. Let's get into our show today, baby. Little black, you know what time it is. 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 Yes, we're talking to you guys about Married at First Sight, dealing with Jasmina and Michael. Let's play a little bit of clip and then we'll discuss our first kind of points.
Your dad left you. You got bullied.
Beautiful. Okay, so our first kind of clip here, we're just focusing on the fact that she let us know instantly, her mama left her dad left her, she got bullied, and it seems like her whole world was her and her alone. She goes on later on to say how she was put into care, and even that particular parental guider made her feel at first like she was all alone. And I talk about this all the time, especially with men and women. And I say, especially with women, I talk about how the fact that when you are alone, when you feel alone, when you've had to fend for yourself emotionally, physically, mentally, financially, when you've had to do those things alone, people develop these very strong barriers and walls. Because when we deal with the feminine and the masculine, a reason why, especially for us as a black community, why a lot of black women I shouldn't say a lot of black women, I say why there seems to be a natter and a chat around black women being so masculine, is because oftentimes when we look at the backstory of these women that we're talking about being so masculine, you will find that oftentimes there is a lack of coverage. The Bible says, he says that because I was looking to destroy the land, right? This is what in Ezekiel, how I was looking to destroy the land, but he was looking for someone to stand in the gap. When someone stands in the gap, it provides the protection. When someone stands in the gap, it provides the coverage that person needs in order to develop as they do. Whenever I'm doing these interviews and talking to people and ready to love and I go into the childhood, because if the child is not protected, the adult comes out real fast. And the adult coming out as a child means developing very strong barriers, very strong boundaries, or very loose boundaries, whichever way you look at it, right? But it oftentimes, especially for women, means developing a masculine energy, because the world that we live in is run by men, and not always men being nice men. So one has to develop these very sharp instincts, protection pieces. They have to move in a certain way in order to be protected. The trouble with that is when you get older, that training that you've been living becomes you when you get older. The Bible says, train a child the way to go, and he will not depart from it. Well, if you train a child to be very heavily guarded, they will be guarded when they get older. So what we saw from Jasmina was such a great breakdown of her talking about how she's been abandoned. Well, if you've been abandoned like that, you might have a fear, a really deep one, of being abandoned again. Hence why a lot of the relationships were at a distance, because then she doesn't have to get too close. You get too close and you leave, it feels like what? Abandonment. Let me sip some water on that. So if anybody's kind of identifying with Jasmine, I want you to kind of look at your background and just kind of see, has there always been protection there? Whether you had two parents or not, were they covering you emotionally? Because if you weren't, you probably had to build up barriers there. Were they covering you financially? Because if they weren't, you probably had to build up coverage there. Were they covering you mentally? as in your ideas, your thoughts, what you could say. Were they covering that aspect or not? You might have to build up a wall, again, build up another wall. Sexually, if you were violated as a young child, this can go either way. Some people can have looser barriers, some people can have much harder barriers in this area, right? But again, the protection piece when you are a child is so vitally important. But let's go back into the clip of what she was saying, and then we'll talk a bit more.
Take your time.
What I loved about this, I know nothing was said, but what I did love about it is if you just heard very faintly Michael just giving out that emotional encouragement, take your time. Now, you don't have to say everything in that moment, but one word, one phrase, when a person's emotionally intelligent, they know how to just say one phrase or one or two words that will encourage you in that moment to still bear your heart out and not take you away from that moment. Creating a safe space for somebody is about empowering them to be able to express themselves emotionally, mentally, physically, sexually, financially, without there being a case of shame or judgment. And in this case, him saying, take your time, I'm with you. If you notice what Michael was doing, he stood very still. He focused his glare and he didn't do anything else much. He wasn't trying to fiddle. He wasn't trying to talk. He wasn't trying to get himself involved. He allowed her the room and the space to do so because I feel like he is somebody who is clearly has some level of emotional intelligence. And that made that scene that much better. Let's watch a bit more.
Your first stepmom, she never hugged you. She never loved you. And you felt alone in that house.
So new environment, she goes to a new home, new environment, new parent givers, and they compound the interest. They compound the behaviors that the child has noticed, that Jasmina has noticed. My first place, I was abandoned, I was left behind, I get into a care home. You should show me love, but she didn't show her love, didn't give her hugs, didn't appreciate the way she wanted to be appreciated and loved. And that compounds the thought. It confirms the bias. It must be true, I'm unlovable. It must be true, I'm worthy to be abandoned. It must be true, they don't like me. It must be true, people must hate me, and I'm not good enough to be in this place. I'm not good enough to be loved. That in itself, how you feel about yourself, oftentimes is what you share with the world. How you value yourself, oftentimes is what you share with the world. And it's really crazy because when I talk about these kind of stuff, I say sometimes, and remember, the people are watching energy, people are feeling energy, and they move by energy. Especially, I know as a man, when we're going after women, like when you want to sleep with a woman, or when you want to certain men cheat on certain gal. They cheat on them because they realize a certain type of energy. I'm not saying that if you be strong and whatever, he ain't gonna cheat. He gonna cheat. But I'm saying that sometimes they're targeted, and they're targeted because they watch the energy. And in this world, people watch energy and move by it, right? Your feelings and your thoughts coming out in the way you act, in the way you move, in your demeanor, in your mood, in your facial expressions, in your body language. People are reading that all the single time. And that's how con artists are so good at what they do. They read you and they say, that's a good mark, go for him. They don't even have to have a conversation with you. They can see by the way you're walking, you're talking, you're moving, and they will say he or she is a good mark. The same thing with the people in the world. Right? So let's listen a bit more. And I'm talking a lot there.
During this time, school became your safe space, and you met Mrs. Pataski. One person made all the pain.
Man, this was deep as well, man. You see both, Jasmina breaking down. Again, I appreciate the honesty from Jasmina. I appreciate the insight into her life, again, because it gives us that understanding. It gives us that, hey, look, there's something deeper here with our sis, right? And you can see Michael also you can see his eyes are welling up. You can see he's emotional. He's going to cry later on. But again, she shares something really important. She says, going to school is now her safe haven. We are all looking for our safe places and safe havens, right? Whenever we don't find it, we tend to act seemingly to the outside world erratic. But all we're doing is acting like an orphan in those spaces, because what we're saying is we don't feel like we belong. And we feel not safe in those places. See, a child who's in a safe place doesn't want to thrash out. A child that's in a safe place wants to be able to act according to society giving it. The love it's given, to receive the love and to give back. But when you've experienced cruelty, hardship, pain, sadness, grief, and you've experienced those things, going into safe spaces no longer feels safe because you're waiting for when the next thing happens. You're on high alert. But what she found herself was in school. That was now her safe place. She had a teacher that would show love and care and affection, and she accepted that love and affection from her. That one person changed her life, because she could have been someone who said, you know what, I want to end my life. But that one teacher who showed that love and affection and that care, this is why teachers are so important, which is why we should be celebrating teachers. This is why we should be giving teachers the empowerment to not take abuse from certain kids. All right. Because good teachers are hard to find. Everybody can tell you about probably one teacher that they really, really liked. That teacher just seemed to get it. And probably more than likely, that teacher that you liked, most people in the school liked. School teachers are just like students, you know. There's teacher or teachers that, let's say, even the most wildest kid liked. Most of the kids will like that teacher. Then there are teachers that one person doesn't like, most people don't like. It's just the energy they're giving off, right? So, it was so important to hear how she had that support from one person. One person was enough.
And loneliness, you felt disappear and change your life for the better.
So this was an emotional scene again, aspect with these two. I want to fast forward it even because she actually spoke about having kids and the fact that she wants to be able to show love to these kids and let these kids be guided by her, and that's such a noble aspect. I'll let you listen to it.
Now fast forward 24 years later, you're 29 and a teacher. You're a teacher because you love children. You want to make a difference in their lives, guide them and teach them.
And this is what I'm saying about certain people. Someone like Jasmina probably is an amazing teacher. Probably is, more than likely, because she's able to say, this is what I want to see. I want to see kids in a better place than I was. I want to be able to do what someone else did for me, right? And that's what we need from teachers, with kids in this generation specifically as well, when they're going through such hardships. But again, I appreciate her sharing that. And you can see how both of them were affected emotionally, how both of them were heavily crying at this moment. It was an emotional scene. And what I loved from this particular thing was that at the end of it, there was a hug. And the hug was initiated by Michael. And I thought that was so powerful because, again, he's demonstrating that emotional intelligence. This is the right time now to show this person that I'm listening, I'm caring, and I'm with you.
I do appreciate Jasmina be super open.
And these are some of the key moments that people really do appreciate. I want to say this as well. Look, as much as I like these scenes, I want people to watch these things and say, please, if you're one of these people that you can see yourself identifying with Jasmina and even Michael at certain points, right? In terms of the tough things you've gone through and the struggle to express yourself, it's not the relationship that's coming to save you. I need you to reach out to someone. Yeah. Coaching, therapy, counselor, we need help fast. It's not the relationship that's now coming to save you. Because more than likely, your energy is not going to attract a person who's going to be emotionally intelligent, stable, secure in their attachment style, and loving. More than likely, he's not. More than likely, you're going to encourage and invite someone who just wants to take advantage. Right? So this is beautiful because they're on a show and they've been put together. But again, I would say, if you're identifying with this, as much as it's beautiful, it might not be your story. You might have further compounding bad relationships because we've not dealt with the inner man. The inner man needs to change in order for the outer man to begin to move in the same way. Right? But it was a beautiful moment to see these two connecting, a beautiful moment to see how these two are conversating and offering each other safe spaces. The abandonment that she's felt potentially has made it very much more difficult to have closer relationships in closer forming relationships romantically, because it meant that person could see her for her, and potentially it may feel like if the person left, they're rejecting the whole of her. And so if you agree or disagree with my review, let me know down below. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. We want to hear your thoughts and have a conversation. Appreciate you guys a lot. Say